Okay, this is the video I didn't want to do, and I'm not gonna go and show my face on it because I don't want to. Oh look, it's a screamer pipe that's nicely welded, but I'm probably gonna have to change it. Anyway, so here's what's going on right now, and here's the annoying part of building a car and trusting somebody to do work for you. Alright, there's my breakfast, some kind of smoothie with bananas in it. You don't care about that. What you care about is that. And that's where my enthusiasm just dropped away. Alright, so what's going on here is, this isn't a rant, this isn't me whinging, this isn't me going crazy, this is just me being really disappointed in somebody I really trusted, and somebody I had a lot of faith in, somebody I really wanted to work with, and somebody I think has a good future, but obviously doesn't care. So disappointing part is I had a guy who offered to do me my intercooler, plumbing, dump pipe, other things like that. Super nice guy, very young, yeah, been around a little while, but yeah, much younger than me, half my age. Got some skills, post up some really awesome videos on Instagram, that sort of thing, and got him to do my intercooler plumbing. It was a bit of a nerve-wracking experience because things weren't quite right here and there, and we sort of discussed things, and you know, it was a bit of a mess with trying to get the car in one workshop and another workshop, and then having to drive all the way across town, all sorts of things like that. But anyway, long story short, he got the work done, and it was very hard to get a hold of a few times, so I couldn't get out there. I couldn't work with him even though I wanted to, and then he just sort of did it without me being there, and then ignored a bunch of things that I asked him to do. And when I politely paid the bill and took the car home, I went, you know, I'm not going to take the car without paying for it. Took the car home, started to pull it apart to do all these other mods and stuff like that, and then looked closer at what he'd done, and I was just like really disappointed. And I've since gotten in touch with him, and the reaction I got from him was basically telling me to piss off, and that he was keeping my money, and that he didn't really care, didn't really show any enthusiasm towards wanting to render the situation. So I'm not going to name drop, I'm not going to badmouth him, I'm just going to show you what he did and show you what I've got to redo now that I've spent $3,000 to have to do it all over again. So firstly, even though the lighting in here is pretty bad, this 6-boost manifold is the dummy up manifold. Basically, as you can see, there's gaps in here and stuff like that, and that's purely because of the fact that I wanted to locate the turbo. I've done this myself. I basically clocked that into a position where I wanted to get the turbo setting perfectly. That will go back to 6-boost, go on a jig and get assembled correctly. They just needed to know exactly where I wanted that flange to be. So when I said to, let's just call him old mate, that I wanted, and I'm going to grab my light over here. So what I asked for was the wastegate outlet to be tacked on there, but also discussed many times the flow that I wanted, and basically that's not how I wanted it done. I wanted it to come out on an angle which follows the flow of the manifold. That's pretty much the flow of the exhaust goes that way. I'm going to try and sit this in here so that you can see the flow of the exhaust goes up into the turbo and out of there, so you want it to sort of intercept and come out of here and down, not sort of perpendicular off the side. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper and show you what I mean. And that's one of the things. We'll move this intercooler plumbing, we're going to get onto that in a minute. This is a really annoying video to do, by the way. I'm kind of not in a good mood about this, and I don't really want to show my face because you can see how disappointed I am. So let's just say here's a bend, and make that like that, and the exhaust goes this way. So what we're trying to do is, that's coming out of the manifold there. The ideal situation would have been to have the wastegate pipe here, because that's flowing that way. So basically that means that the pipe is going to cop air this direction too because of the pressure, and then also that, so you don't put all that excess load on the valve. Apparently that's the way to do it, but instead what he's done is, let's draw this again. I'm doing this one-handed, by the way, so it's quite difficult. Is just basically chucked it there. It's probably not as accurate, but that's sort of a crude idea of what's going on there. So the gases go that way, And then to get it to go into the wastegate, it's just got to rely on the pressure in there to try and turn rather than forcing it directly into that. So what we're doing is we're actually making it really easy for the wastegate to work. And yeah, simple in theory. It's been proven many times before, and it was proven last time on my turbo manifold before when it didn't work, when person that wouldn't be named did it the incorrect way, and then when I fixed it, it worked really well because it went off the exhaust housing. Anyway, so on to the next thing. So that's got to be redone, and for some reason he welded it completely as well rather than tacking it, even though I said to tack it. Intercooler plumbing. So looks not too bad, but the thing is, like, my TIG welding and aluminium isn't amazing yet, and I want it to be really good, but I'm still getting there. And because I'm putting a lot of effort into making sure this car is really good, I gave it to a guy who's posted up some really good videos of nice TIG welding. Like, I don't tell this, I sort of don't say this is really bad TIG welding. It's okay, but for some guy that's posted up, and I'll put the video overlaying this, that here's what crap welding looks like versus here's what amazing welding looks like, and this looks more like the crap welding he posted up, then I don't know what I'm paying for. Let's flip this over and have a look. So what we've done here is, and in his defense, I'm not really defending him, but reused this bend and this straight from the old intercooler plumbing, just because it was, you know, there to use. This already had the outlet for the blow off valve on it, so reuse that. But then the main gripe I have is that if we get this torch again, which is still on, and then we look in here, I asked him to grind down welds. He ground down the ones right on the end, but not on the inside. So that is probably one of the better ones. It's hard to tell because we're looking kind of, you know, a bit hard up in there, but the problem being is that some of these welds have really big dags hanging off them on the inside, and they're dags that can actually, well, fall off. Plus the thing is, you know, we're building a car that we're trying to make big horsepower with, and efficiency is the key. Tell me I'm wrong. But to have massive big dags hanging around on the inside of your welds there that can eventually fall off and go into intercoolers or into valves or into turbos, like on, this is parts of the original intake that were reused and then modified again. But if we look in here, and some of these welds look, well, let's just put it bluntly, pretty shit. So even down to the fact that this one here, this isn't even lining up here on this donut, because he's used part of this new donut here and hasn't even welded this bit here. And sure, it's just an intake, but that's like 5 mil of weld he's completely missed. So I don't know. And if you look here, this has still got paint on it from the previous time. This is welded by Cam from Solid. Really nice, neat weld. And on the inside, it's smooth as silk. There's no burn through, no bits of wire hanging out and stuff like that. And then you go onto this one here, this here, and let's have a look inside. It's kind of like vaguely just hit it with a Scotch-Brite wheel or something, because it's all burnt through and obviously sent it in with too much heat, and then just threw heaps of wire at it to try and make sure that it was going to blow holes and everything. So really don't know. So this is going to have to get redone or fixed or something like that. Another annoying part of it. Moving on to the next bit, I went and bought, because he wasn't organised and lied to me and basically told me that he'd organised parts when he hadn't. I had to buy a 5" to 4" reducer for the dump pipe. And yeah, I'm going to be frank here and say, yeah, his welds on the dump pipe are pretty nice, because he's got the whole weaving welding thing going on. And you know what, I'm just going to swap batteries in this GoPro because it's about to die. Alright, so I'm back. Anyway, so here's the dump pipe. Yes, the welds do look not too bad on there, and yeah, pretty good. No purge welding. Let's just say that out there, because most people these days who are motorsport fabricators and so forth are doing the whole purge weld thing, but this one wasn't. But anyway, this is a 4" pipe, The outlet of the turbo is this here, which is like a 5-inch flange. So I went and bought a brand new one of these in stainless. I had to buy a 5 to 4-inch reducer, and then we discussed it, and I said, okay, so what, you're going to line that up and then butt that up against the outside of that and then weld it on the outside. And he slid it in there, tacked it, and then said he was going to draw a line around there, cut it off and then weld it so it was all flush. But then no, he just went and just stuck it in there, welded it all the way around, and now we've got like a heap of pipe hanging on the inside of that. So, and to me, what that means is that that bit of pipe there on the edge that has about 5 to 10 mil of just pipe hanging there, creates a lip and an edge, which is basically going to be turbulence and flow of exhaust. Sure, it's a massive pipe and it's coming straight off the turbo, so call me a whinger, that sort of thing, but couldn't it have been just easier to butt that up against there and then just have a nice smooth transition through there? I mean, yeah. So yeah, I'm not really happy with that, and it's going to have to get redone. I'm going to have to get another one of these. We're going to have to cut this off here. We're going to have to hopefully cut this off here and then not damage this other one. We're going to have to buy another one of them again. So there's money down the bin. There's time cutting that off and finishing that all again, and then we've got to line it all up and go and do it all again. The thing is as well is that this has this weird big edge in here as well. Sure, it's not as big a problem as this, but why can't it be smooth? It's not that hard. Just didn't care, rushed it, obviously just wanted the money. Anyway, now looking down into the wastegate pipe here as well, getting back to this, kind of like vaguely, let's call that I don't know, plasma cut or something like that, and it's just a dirty ugly hole. She'll be right, never mind. So yeah, anyway, the only thing, and as I drop my torch here, that I'm pretty much going to be able to use from all of this wonderful experience is this big, and this was my idea and my design, puke tank, which was alright and kind of in theory not too bad. Probably gonna have to remove and change the outlet on the bottom because it's impossible to get to because it's underneath, but I did say put it on the bottom, so my fault. So for my $3,000 I've spent with this guy to do all of that work, I'll probably end up with a puke tank and a heap of stuff I have to redo and pay somebody else to do again. I'm actually really now just thinking I just need to get my crap together and spend a heap of time with this little bad boy here and then just learn how to weld properly, because I kind of just wouldn't say, no, I'm definitely not sick of relying on people because I've had some amazing people that have helped me out, so that would be a lie to say that, but I just wish I was better, and it's frustrating that I'm not. So as far as the steel side of things, I'm getting better with that, but aluminium is still my nemesis and something I want to be better at. I don't have it here because I've dropped it off to get fixed or changed. The engine plate for this side, I asked for an orb fitting to be welded to the front of it because that's going to be an outlet to an orb to dash fitting that'll go to the Davies Craig water pump. For some weird reason he decided to weld it on the inside. Now the weld is actually on the face of the water pump face, so that actually has to be ground down, which kind of renders the weld useless because it's like a flush weld. So that's another annoying thing that needs to be fixed. So basically, long story short is, I'm not naming names, I'm not going to badmouth the guy. He's probably going to ring and abuse me or threaten me or something like that. I don't care because he knows he's done the wrong thing. But the thing is that I'm never ever going to recommend this guy to anyone, because just the attitude I got from him and the lack of care, and yeah, let's just call it that. And yeah, it just added insult to injury as well, because the location we were working at was extremely dusty. I then found there was like dust in my intercooler pipes, like, you know, sand, and the intercooler was like wide open and stuff like that. So my brand new beautiful billet Plasma Man intercooler now has to be cleaned really well to get any dust out of it, because obviously I don't want that going in the engine. And through all the stress and hassle and stuff that I've been through with this car, I didn't need any more because I've got some other amazing people helping me out and working with me now. So this is all just positive vibes now, and any toxic bad people are out of the equation. So I'm just chalking this up to a really bad experience. And unfortunately for this guy, because of his attitude and the way he's come back at me when I've asked him to, you know, try and render the situation, or at least pay me back the money so I can pay somebody else to redo it, and basically told me to get lost. Yeah, you'll never ever get a recommendation from me. So yeah, good luck in the future. Oh, actually, sorry, and that too. I asked him to put dash fittings on the radiator. They're kind of big ugly welds, to be honest, but just lopped it off, threw a dash fitting on there, and didn't really check the fact that that was so close to the K-frame, you can't actually get a dash fitting on there. And if you do, it's resting hard up against the K-frame. Yeah, that's going to have to get redone as well. Fun and games. Yeah, really satisfying experience. Not. So, yeah. And while I look at it, like, here's my old intercooler plumbing. Not one overly penetrated weld on the inside of that, because it was all done by Cam from Solid, who's an amazing fabricator. So let's just chalk this up to, don't run with the first guy you find. And, you know, if you're in business yourself, or you're growing a business, or you're wanting to do this sort of stuff, and my theory is, don't overpromise and underdeliver. Underpromise and overdeliver. That's pretty much the theory of any business, really. Because if you want repeat business, then you want the customers to be really happy. Anyway, I'm going to get the TIG out and start fixing these up. And, well, not fixing them, I'm going to weld them because they're perfect and they're in the right spot. And get on to doing more on this front, and then I can sort of think about what's next. So, yeah.